In the beginning, there was no sound, only the void. And God said, "Let there be sound."
Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you.
And the voice of man rang out, and Voiceover was born. And God said, "It is good." Talkin' Voiceovers with Rick Sellers and Wes McCraw. The big podcast where we talk all things voiceover. And now, Rick Sellers and Wes McCraw. Everett Oliver, how are you?
I'm well. Hold on one second because I can't see.
Join the club. I can't see either.
It's so funny. We're all wearing the same colors. I think that's hilarious.
Hey!
Oh, look at that. We got good taste.
All right.
This is hilarious. It's so hilarious.
There you are.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, is this going to be like tough questions where I got to think?
No, it'll be
Oh, yeah. We're going to drill you so hard today.
It's super easy. It's all about you. Everett Oliver, welcome to the show. We're Talking Voiceovers is the name of the podcast, and we talk all things voiceover. We've never had a booth director on the show. We've had casting directors, but not a booth director. So this is a first and very cool. And thank you so much for doing the interview.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You are a bi-coastal booth director. You specialize in commercials and animation and helping voice actors be their very best acting selves. So tell us a little bit about that. What exactly do you do and how do you do it?
Okay. Well, I should say I'm a formal booth director.
Okay.
I'm actually a voice acting director. So,
Okay. Voice acting
what
director.
I do, I mean, really, basically, there's a couple of things that I do because I cover a wide range. I build people's careers. I handle, what I mean by build their careers, I basically sit down and have a conversation with them, and they basically tell me their whole entire life story about their career. And I put them in front of people who I think are right fits for them. And I mentor them and guide them when they build their careers, as well as coach them as well. That's one aspect of what I do. Booth directing, I took the booth directing and the voice acting directing and combined them. So what I used to do at a talent agency is direct actors totally on auditions. So I, as far as commercial and animation, and I pull performances out of actors by really understanding them and how they tick. And once I get a sense of how they tick, how they work, how they approach the copy, how they become the characters and give them little hints and tricks and tools, then I can go ahead and dive in. And 9 times out of 10, they're like, "Oh, that sounds great." And then I just sit back and go, "Okay, great. You understand yourself a little bit better."
Yeah. Very good. You're kind of a voice acting magician pulling a performance out of an actor.
I have to pull a performance out of actors. Then I work, do classes and I do, demos when I can. And I like to travel and connect with people in person. It's something about that energy. Once I understand the dynamics of the energy of the room and who they are, then I can go ahead and play. The online stuff is working, but it's a little bit more fun,
Yeah,
getting out of LA.
When you can do it in person and press the flash and really see them and kind of get a sense of who they are and how they're going to operate and what they're going to do and how you can get that performance out of them. That's a unique talent. Are there a lot of different booth directors out there? I've only heard of maybe you.
Well, everyone on the West Coast, if you belong to a talent agency on the West Coast, me being a booth director, they call us booth directors. So it's a process of we just handle all the auditions.
Okay.
We get actors that come in, usually the agents would cast all the different projects. Then they would hand it to the booth directors. Then the booth directors would just come in and just read copy. Then if we felt that it was right for, let's say an actor wasn't put on a certain list, we would go ahead and we'd slide the copy on the side. And then we would get the projects out and send them to the buyers. And then we just sit and wait. Or if it was a special, unique project for the agent would have to, select, maybe the top 3. We give it to the agents and let them decide which 3 they wanted to send out. But we were really connected. Booth directors were really the lowest people on the totem pole, but we're the most valuables at a talent agency because we understand the dynamics of how the whole talent agency system works and the actors. Like, I would literally call all the actors, "Where's Rick's audition?"
Mm-hmm.
I pick up the phone. Rick, what's going on? What's happening?
I'm freaking out, man. I don't know what to do.
I'm stuck on the freeway. Well, you better figure it out and get here in 10 minutes because they are screaming your name out. Is Rick there? Oh, I'll talk to you later. Bye. So
Very
that's
good.
what I would do. I would call all the actors. I need your audition. I need your audition now. Where are you? You need to get in the office now. And I would support actors. So that's basically what I did.
That seems like a really valuable thing. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are super freaked out and nervous when they know they have an audition coming up or whatever. And to have someone like you that can sort of walk them through the process, I mean, that's got to be something that has value, and I'm sure makes people feel a lot more comfortable once they actually get in the booth and in the audition.
Mm-hmm. It's probably one of the skills that I just basically was a gift that was given to me and talented due to the fact that because I can understand how an actor thinks and ticks, and that helps me get into their head. It's not really, as people would say, it's just a gift that I have that I just acquired, and I was like, oh, okay, you think this way, okay, and so I have to use certain things, like they would tell me stuff, like say about their family members or little small stuff that would help me. And I would actually remember and then use that reference to pull that performance out of them.
Great.
So what's the process like? I mean, do you have do you always go about it the same way do you have a certain line of questioning? Do you interview people and say, okay, here's how I'm going to figure out what's inside your head? Or do you just sort of interact and just take in information as you go?
What's quiet is skepticism. I'm actually intuitive.
Okay.
So between being intuitive and allowing the actor to speak, it just gives me, I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. And then I just retain everything.
It's like a psychic doing. It's kind of like a psychic doing a reading. You sit and listen, and they tell you things, and then you can use that information.
Just basically use the information, and then there's a little bit of stuff that I will tap into them and go, okay, duly noted. And then, like I said, I would use samples and vision images because everybody's like an image. They need images to be a certain. To get into, certain characters or, approaching, commercial copies. So I use those images that I see or I hear, and then I pinpoint the image to the performer. And then that's where I can go ahead and play. But they have to be really comfortable, and they have to be, I got to get them at a place where I allow my personality to just play with them and toy with them, so that way they're relaxed about it. Because if they're tense, it's not going to work.
How often do you get in a position where you're in the process of evaluating someone or talking to them, and you realize they're not ready for this? Does that happen often, or by the time they get to you, they're already sort of on a pro level?
I get them from all various levels. Some people are just basically brand new, so it just really each individual is different. I take it on a case-by-case basis, and if it works, it just works. If it doesn't work, so I'm just kind of like, And 9 times out of 10, you can read my face.
Sure, yeah.
I can read your face.
I'm very animated.
Yeah, well, that's a great thing to be when you're.
But, they need to know. Sometimes they just need to know. It's like, I don't think this is going to work out.
Yeah. Well, I think that puts people at ease, too. You seem comfortable, and then people are sort of mirrors of each other, and they're going to sort of feed off of that. By the way, we've been terribly rude. I'm Wes.
Oh, this is Wes McCraw.
No.
Rick.
It's so funny.
Wes is an engineer. He's a button turner and knob turner guy.
Yeah.
He's been doing this for 25 years.
We've produced a lot of audio content together, and voiceovers and toys, sound effects, and all kinds of things over the years.
Yep.
And we got to doing this, and people like you are kind enough to come on here and be part of our little show. So
no problem.
Thank you for that.
I saw the lettering. I was like, Old West.
Yeah. Well, we get around to it eventually. As you can see, we're pretty laid back on this whole thing. I mean, we got sort of an outline what we want to do, but we'd like to just have a conversation. We won't keep you all day. Again, we're just grateful that you're here and talking to us.
You have an accent too. You do have.
Can you tell where it's from?
couldn't tell. It was weird because at first I thought I'm looking at Kentucky, but I was like, that's not.
Well, you're
Kentucky, but
close.
It's
In the
It is
ballpark.
south,
around
at
there.
least.
It's around there.
Yeah.
If the more time I speak to you, it probably will hit me. But
Well, I've been living in the Cleveland area for about 25, 30 years, but I'm originally from North Carolina. You should have heard me when I first moved up here. I had to repeat myself a lot because it was very thick.
He had the real twang.
I was full on hillbilly.
Oh,
Yeah,
how y'all doing?
exactly. So I have a question on my list here. You've done some casting, I believe, for some animated series for Sony. Is that true? Is that correct?
Sony, yes.
Can you tell us about some of that?
Well, that was back then. For every movie Sony produced, we did an animated series. So Godzilla, Men in Black,
Starship
Jackie Chan,
Troopers.
Starship Trooper. I'm looking at my wall because that's
Very cool.
So I mean, it was a heavy, I think 6 years that I was at Sony. And the shows ranked from, back then it was on Fox Kids.
Mm-hmm.
So we did about maybe 40 episodes. I can tell you Godzilla was probably maybe 20 to 40 episodes. Starship Troopers was definitely 40 episodes. Men in Black went for about maybe 5 or 6 seasons. So we were just constantly casting. And, you have your main regular cast, but then it comes down to the incidentals.
Right.
Who do you want to play the incidental characters? And then we were like, oh, okay, we haven't heard this person in a while. Let's bring this person in. That's back then when I was with the SAG actors who really small pocket of the people who I worked with on a consistent basis. It wasn't as large as it is now. So, but it was a lot of fun. It was just a lot of work. I don't think I went home maybe one Christmas because there was so much work.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
a lot of folks you're casting.
I
there.
watched a lot of their shows. I loved Men in Black. And pretty interesting. I was looking at the cast earlier today, and it's you had some pretty talented folks on there, so very cool. Were you responsible
Patrielli was
for?
on there.
Were you
Patrielli.
directing those folks during the?
No, I just worked in casting back then.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
how did you get started in booth directing? Did that come about after
So
the
good.
fact?
So my mentor is Charlie Adler, who's a voice director,
Oh, yeah.
actual voice director. And so I was at the time finishing up King of the Hill because I worked on King of the Hill for a couple of seasons.
Oh, I'm a huge fan.
And so I didn't really know what was next. And I remember having a conversation with Charlie, and Charlie said, "Oh, you need to be a booth director." And I was like, "What's that?" I don't know what that is. And oddly enough, things just kind of sort of happened and fall into my place. So I must have been online looking for jobs, and there was a booth director. I kid you not, the next day
Really?
title that popped
You just
up.
answered an ad.
Answered
Wow.
an ad. And it was my former employee, so I used to work for at AVO Talent, Sandy Schnarr and Peter Verano, and I used to know them in casting. So I was familiar with them, and they knew I had, worked in casting. So they called me like right away.
Great.
And they just put me in the booth. Didn't know anything about it, but I had worked in casting, so I kind of sort of knew. I had no directing experience at all. But I remember my second day there, I booked somebody on like a UPS spot. They came and told me. I was just like, great.
Nice. Score.
Very awesome.
Nailed it.
How much union work are you doing nowadays? Is it mostly, I would say 70% of the voice work out there is probably non-union, about 30% union. So
It's probably most of the job. I mean, it's if I'm working with actors on commercial auditions, is mostly non-union. If it's animation, it's mostly union.
very cool.
And I specifically just deal with talent. I haven't worked as far as like working on shows. I like the aspect of helping actors get, commercials and animations and stuff like that and train them.
Gotcha.
As far as that voice directing, woo, I've done it. Oh, it's work.
Well, as a booth director working today, how is the, are you mostly doing it remotely now with Zoom and Source Connect, things like that?
I've been doing everything through. So when I left my agency and I started basically being a booth director, I've always done it through Zoom. So it's easy to do.
Yeah.
I just basically like you and I. So the actor sends me the audition, and obviously the copy. I set up a Zoom session with them, and it's just like when I was at the agency. I give them direction, and then they record it on their end. I do no recording on my end. If they want me to edit, because I move rather quickly, I'll go use this, use that, use this. Forget it. Just send me the whole entire file, and I'll edit the file for them, and then I'll send it back to them.
Wow, you're an engineer too? Mm-hmm. Holy cow.
Very cool. So were you doing the Zoom thing before the pandemic? I mean, was that typically how you were doing it already?
Mm-hmm. So mostly when I was traveling and I was teaching a little bit, and then a few people would have auditions, I go, okay, I could as long as I have my computer, I don't even need to use my microphone. I just use the computer mic.
Yeah, we were doing that too. We had Zoom already. We had an account for a couple of years before the pandemic. So when it hit, we were like, hey, we're ready. We're good. We were already doing this. So it worked out well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the pandemic didn't really. The pandemic affected me in a way of more people came reaching out to me.
Yeah, more business.
Really stop me at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's a good position to be in.
Good for you.
There's quite a few really top tier guys that had never had to engineer their own stuff, never had to record themselves, and they had to learn how to do all that during the pandemic. So it worked out really well for you since you were already doing it. Very cool.
Yeah,
all right.
I think it's everybody in LA that didn't know how to edit their own stuff because they were spoiled.
Right,
So
you go to the studio and
do everything, whereas the East Coast actors and the Midwest actors had their own, booths, or they would record on their iPhones and then they would send it into their agents.
Gotcha.
So that's how that game worked. Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the benefits of working with you is your one-on-one approach to coaching and career building. How do you help voice actors create a path towards a long-lasting career where they're going to work in the voice industry for a while?
It depends on what they specifically need. I always ask them, what do you want to do? Half of them just say they don't really know what they really want to do.
Yeah.
So then I have to, go through, and you were asking earlier, Wes, it's not really like a checklist. I just sit there and I just, okay. So tell me the genres that you would like to do in order.
Oh, okay.
And then we go through this. And then I go, okay. And then I specifically listen to them, how they speak, or I'll listen to their demos, or I'll do a review on their website to get a sense of who they are. And then I'll say, okay, so this is what I hear and observing when I'm listening to you. And most likely it's the e-learning, it's the corporate narration, it's the documentaries, because in my travels, everyone has different sounds. The East Coast people speak differently from the West Coast people, and people just look at me and they go, what? There's a certain sound to how everyone speaks. And
True.
If you specifically listen to them, that's how I can pinpoint and go, no. You're an East Coast voice actor.
Okay.
But you want to be a West Coast voice actor, you've got to do this.
So as a guy who works in sound all the time and a musician, are you at all musical? Do you have that kind of ear?
I'm not musical. I have no musical.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I'm not a musical person, but what I am is a people person. So when I listen specifically how they perform, then I can go, oh, you might be right for this genre. You might want to try this. Or just like I told the talent today, I'm having I did a class last night, did an animation class last night. So there were certain sounds and I'm like, you may not be great for animation, but you'd be great for video games.
Okay.
That's your niche. Video games is your niche. And that's what I tell people. You wasting your time doing this. You need to do that.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like a stickler for saying, don't waste your time. Trust me. Go this way. And I like to put you in front of the right people who's going to escalate your career. Because other than that, you'll be sitting over here twiddling your thumbs for 10, And I get people from all ages and all backgrounds who've been in the industry, especially non-union talent, who've been doing it for, oh, how do I break in, or how do I get in, or you haven't surrounded yourself with the right people. Let me put you in front of the right people. Who's going to do this? This is what I do. I connect people too.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm like a connector. And I'm like, yeah, because you're wasting time, you're wasting talent. We don't know how long we're going to be here, but this is what I would go. And if you're not a right fit for somebody, I will tell you. Because I believe that people needs to be with a right fit with a person to learn.
I think one of the most valuable things that you do is that you're honest with people. Some people just want to sugarcoat things. They need to hear the truth. They need to hear what they're good at.
I don't think you're sugarcoating anything.
I don't sugarcoat. I'm from New York.
There you go. I was going to ask you that. So you were born there, or?
I was born in New York. I went to college in Atlanta. That's where that little Southern sometimes come through.
Okay.
And I've lived out in Los Angeles for about 26 years.
What part of New York?
So, the actual city.
Oh, okay.
I'm a city kid.
Manhattan? The city?
I'm from the Bronx.
Okay.
From the Bronx, actually.
Okay. Just curious.
The Bronx accent will come out.
If you get mad, go back to the Bronx.
Depends. Depends on who I'm with.
All right. Well, let's talk about your directing style. I know you have been called upbeat, positive, fierce, inspirational. You tend to deconstruct talent. So you listen to them, you find out what they're all about, and then take them in the direction that you think that they need to go into to soar, fly. That's pretty much what you do. You teach them about themselves too.
Yeah, you have to. I can tell when their walls are up. And so I sometimes, depending on, I will say this. I will either send you to somebody who's going to knock down that wall, or I'm going to listen and say, oh, you haven't, like, for example, I did tell one of my clients, I said, you haven't played enough. You ain't played enough. You're too serious. You need to let stuff go. And they looked at me and they said, someone told me that the other day. I said,
whoa. So
do you want me to tell you? Right.
You're very intuitive.
Do you want me to tell you the truth? Or do you want me, as I say to my colleagues, do you want me to tell you the truth, or do you want me to come up with a story? Because I'm a good storyteller, as some people say. He say, oh, you're going to tell us the truth in a very loving way. That's why I smile a lot.
You might be part therapist too. Now that
I think you might be.
I keep everything up.
See, Rick does that wall thing too. See, right here, we're right beside each other. Right here, there's nothing. I don't know what he's thinking. He won't open up to me.
I'm an open book now.
He's scared.
He should be. We touched a minute on demos. So, in your expert opinion, how long should a demo be? How much time are you going to give a demo when you're listening to something?
It depends on what it is. I mean, I would say no more. If it's a minute for commercial, I'll start with a little bit of commercial. So commercial to me has to be who you are, and your spot should reflect who you are. I don't think people's spots, they're finding stuff that like cooking. And they might say, do you like to cook? And then they just kind of look at me. No, I like food. I'm like, but there has to be something great that you like food, but I want to smell and taste that you really like.
You can tell they're strictly microwave when you're talking.
You just tell. Yeah. I'm like, that's like store-bought.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So it's stuff that I listen for. Animation, when I'm listening for animation, there's like there's a checklist of characters that I think that should have specifically in your demo. But I don't want to just hear voices. And I know the agents don't want to hear voices. And I, the first thing that I'm thinking about is I asked them, where do you want to market this demo? Everyone just does demos.
Yeah.
But they don't know where they want to market it. That's the first question I asked them, and they just look at me with a blank look on their face. And I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Well, that's why they come to you for the direction. So you can tell them, look, if you want to do animation, do you want to do primetime animation? Do you want to do Saturday morning animation?
Where do you want to market the demo to?
Right.
Do you want to market the demo to my coast? Do you want to market your demo to, the East Coast? Who are you targeting? What's your target audience? They need to know all of this. And so that's what I go through, and they go, oh, I want to go ahead and I want to do the big stuff. I say, everybody wants to do the big stuff. What's going to make you different from everybody else?
Well, that's a good point, because, I mean, it's got to be competitive, you know?
Because everybody puts a demo together, even, you know, like a video game demo, but it has to be something that really is them. And it's got to be the first sentence. I want to be able to hear it in the first sentence.
Well, that sort of answers my next question, which was, what do you personally want to hear on an actor's voiceover demo? It sounds like you want to just hear them being true to themselves.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
The first spot, the very first spot, I don't care if it's a character demo or for animation demo, it needs to be them.
Okay.
It cannot be a character of them doing a character as their first spot, because that's going to automatically going to turn off the agent or the buyer. It should be them first, and then the character spot.
That's that's hard. You know, you see direction like be real. Being real is hard. I mean, that's like,
well, that's because you don't know yourself.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
The issue is you need to go, you need to find somebody to go ahead and tell you.
see, there's that therapist again.
Oh, I tell you.
You would have been a really good therapist.
I probably would.
Well, we talked a little bit about the pandemic, and it hasn't affected you negatively at all. In fact, it's improved your business. You're doing gangbusters, so that's great. When it's over, are you planning on doing any conferences or getting back out there on the road and doing some VO meetups, that sort of thing?
If I'm asked to do conferences, I probably will do it. I probably will do some traveling, going back to what I was previously doing. I'm not going to probably do as much of it. Believe it or not, the traveling helps me because I need change of scenery.
Yeah.
So that also boosts me up. So that's why I was doing a lot of extensive traveling when I first started.
Sure.
And really marketing myself, because I was very familiar with just my own little world in Los Angeles. And then it was like, okay, but you're from New York. Let's build that, because that's your birthplace, as well as me traveling down to Atlanta, because that's kind of like it was a second home for me. So then it just became natural for me to go, you know what, let me go to the actors, because I know they're not going to have much money. They're not going to go ahead and fly to Los Angeles to come see you. Why don't you go see them? It'll be a lot more fun. It gives you the opportunity to go ahead and see. I mean, I've seen certain cities already, but meet some of the actors. And that's what I did. I basically had meetups before my events.
That's brilliant.
For those who couldn't come to the workshops, because they get to meet me in person. They get the sense of, oh, what are you going to teach at the workshop? Oh, because they were studying me. That's what they were doing at the restaurants. They were studying me. And then they were like, oh, do you have any spots left? Come on.
Great.
Come on, I got to get scripts to you tonight, you know.
So you brought the mountain to Muhammad. That's really brilliant on your part.
Yeah. How much casting do you do or directing from people outside of LA for jobs in LA? Do they have to be in town, or do you hire people from outside the West Coast?
I haven't done any casting. There was only, I think I did one casting project. Right now, I've been focusing on just teaching and building my label and my brand. I am doing some consulting with a project, which I'm waiting on. In fact, I was going to call them today, because I haven't heard from them, that they probably want me to do some casting and directing for sure. But I'm always looking for and listening for new talent. I haven't just told them yet.
Well, I guess my only reason for asking is because people, oftentimes with us, the question comes up, do I have to be in LA to work as a voice actor? That was my reason.
You don't have to be in LA now with everything that's happening. I would say that the Los Angeles casting directors will have a hard time remembering who you are, because they wouldn't see you.
Yeah. Right.
If you lived on a different coast. So it's you as the talent have to figure out, how am I going to just regularly see them in person? Because I remember when I was in casting and working with the, we call them dialogue directors back then. That's how old school I am. And say, hey, do you remember Rick? And they're like, "Who's Rick?" Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, Rick. Last name is P. I can tell you that. Like, Rick P. He wore glasses. I can describe him to a T. I can describe you to a T. And they would go, "I don't remember who it is." Okay, great. And then this is what Rick looks like. Oh yeah, he was great. Oh, okay. Because he didn't wow you. So it's stuff like that they really, it's short-term memory. They see thousands of thousands. I mean, me as a, voice acting director, I see people thousands and thousands. And I'm terrible with names, but I'm great with faces because I could, the little small things would be like, "Oh, you're from North Carolina." They go, "You remember that, but you don't remember my name?" Yeah, I'm good with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I try to do, it's a word, for me, it's like association. So, so you will be West forever or North Carolina in my brain.
Well, that's fair enough. Well, we've been talking to you now for about a half hour. And, we're going to ask if you had any website or YouTube or social media where people can contact you or anything you want to promote or,
I'm all over social media. I'm all over. My YouTube channel, what I've been doing is short videos.
Okay.
About the industry. That's my latest thing that I've been doing.
We just watched one. It was really good and entertaining and informative. So.
And you look good on camera.
I'm learning.
And you look very sexy on camera.
Oh, I said good. You took it a whole other level.
I took it to a new level.
Well, first of all, this on-camera stuff is like, oh my God, it's work.
Oh, I know.
It's so much work, and it's like, it's a start.
I'm at home in a dimly lit studio editing and doing my thing. That's where I'm at home. So when we started doing this stuff, I'm like, man, you mean I got to talk to people that do voiceover stuff for a living? And anyway.
Lights.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Oh my, I can't even tell you how many people have contacted me. It's so much.
Well, Everett, you have been great, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to us. So we're going to let you go so you can get back to your busy day. But thank you again for being a part of Talking Voiceovers. We love having you on, and we wish you all the best and success in the future.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you. And good to hear you're still busy and doing well and safe so far.
I will try to make an appearance in the Midwest somewhere.
Awesome.
Let us know. We'll follow you.
Yeah, I look forward to meeting you in person. So great. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Have a great day.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right,
we'll see you.
Bye-bye.
That was a great interview. Everett Oliver. He was a very intuitive cat.
Yeah, interesting guy. Sort of a voiceover actor guru.
Yeah, absolutely. He kind of zeroes in on what the actor is all about and then how best that actor is going to be able to utilize his talents and build his career, and he helps you get where you want to go.
We want to thank him again for spending time with us and sharing his insights into the industry and the world of voiceovers.
Yeah, absolutely. Great interview, cool guy. Next episode on Talking Voiceovers is episode number 3 of season 3 with the incredible Bess. I'm sure many of you folks know her, but she's also the voice of Star Trek Picard on the Paramount Channel, and Wes and I are huge Trek fans, so for us, this was a great interview.
Yeah, pretty geeked out over that one.
Yeah, she's the voice of the computer on board Picard's ship. So look forward to Bess coming very soon, and Talking Voiceovers, hit like and subscribe.
Thank you guys so much.
Yep.
Samantha, tell them what's up.
I'm Samantha Fagan, and you're listening to Talkin' Voiceovers. Be sure and subscribe to Talkin' Voiceovers. Hit like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Before you book your next voiceover demo, check out primodemos.com. You'll hear the difference.
Thanks for listening to Talkin' Voiceovers with Rick Sellers and Wes McCraw. Find us on Facebook or on the web at primodemos.com.